Hey, hey bunnies, how you doing? Welcome back to Stardew Valley. We're on session 5 now, I think. Um, I can't remember what we were doing when we last left off, as usual. We just got a chicken coop, I remember that. What else did we do? I can't remember what we were about. I can't remember. I'll be entirely honest with you. Got a dark hot chocolate with me today instead of a coffee because it is 10:15 at night. We got a lot of money. I don't remember why that is. Alright, we got chickens. We got bananas. Is there a fourth chicken? I remember. Oh, there was an egg in front of me. I didn't notice that. And that's our stuff to donate box. Someone dropped you off at the clinic last night. You passed out from exhaustion. Did I? Huh. What is that? It must be growing, whatever it is. If I can't, like, pick it or axe it. That is one thing I remember, that we need to find all of the farm fruits for summer so we can get that bundle done. I remember. We also need to get more sprinklers. Because that would be nice. And I could probably organize the cheaper sprinklers so that I don't have to worry about watering most crops. A pike frenzy has begun in Cindersap Forest. A pike frenzy. Do I know what a pike frenzy is? I'm assuming it just means that I can catch a lot of pike at Cindersap. So like, do I eat a summer squash? Yeah. No, I was keeping that for. Oh no, cakes. Cakes elite cakes. Perfect. Was the cat? Oh. Couldn't remember if the cat was inside or not. Grong. I forgot about Grong. So there is 3, right? 2 brown, 1 white chicken. Yeah, I think so. Now that's a community center item, I believe. Yes. Can I take any of that in? I can take the oak in. Do I need to take an oak in? Unsure. Alright, I guess let's try out this cinder sap nonsense. Which is... like... is that cinder sap forest? I have no idea. Because, like, why did it warn me about it if I can't go there, you know what I mean? But this isn't really a forest. Like, that's kind of the only forest, but I don't think I can... unless there's a way to get there, like the last area in, because, like... oops. I can't... that's like a broken bridge or something, yeah? Must be. I could just keep fishing. Should I go check out the wizard? That makes sense. I can see that. Alright. Let's fish in this pond, I guess, because I'm willing to believe I catch different fish here. And we'll buy the fruit we need to buy tomorrow. Oh. I'm so bad at this. I really hope there's better rods that make this easier, because I don't think I'm gonna be able to catch any of those good fish. That's just a pike. 2. I'm assuming the deep water has better fish, but I don't know if that's how that works. So I'm assuming if I get the max, I can hit that dark stain. Yeah, so when you don't catch fast enough, you get algae, is that what I'm getting? Or is it just luck? I feel like it's not luck. I feel like... yeah, it's because I'm too late, isn't it? am I just old? Or is it like just maybe it's too late. Maybe it's too late. Maybe that's the issue. Is another pike? Could be. I see chats happening. I can't look at it right now. Come on. Come on, nearly there. I need you to stop moving. I need you to stop. No, I was so close. Oh. Not old man. There's no way I'm an old man. Is it a star? Nice. Was it pike? Is that what it said? Can I not look at a calendar? Is there no calendar? Okay. It's not. They said pike something. And I'm catching pike. I'm pretty sure they said pike anyway. That's trash. It wasn't even trash. Like they didn't even bother telling me what kind of trash. They just said, yeah, it was trash. Do I need to... Okay, I've caught pike before. Pike's a baby thing. Well, this is something very basic. Is that first catch of the day? No. Have we not? Okay, where is it? Blacksmith, geologist, money, chef? Aha! Field research bundle, that's an interesting place. But it's a gold one. Okay, that one's not a gold one. If I catch anything else good though, I won't be able to hold it. So I should go back. Maybe do some farm clearing, I guess? So I'll sell the gold chub and the mayo. Yeah, so we'll put the normal chub in there. Sell that, that. We'll keep the algae because it's just easy money. We'll just sell the sweet pea. Grab that mayo. And then we'll just take the oak, the chub, the pepper, the melon? No, we need 5 melon. Okay, we'll just take all this over. And hopefully on our way, we see Penny and give her a summer squash. Because the PS closes at 5, yeah? There's no way I'm getting you an aquamarine. Ooh, nope. Oh, hang on. That backpack upgrade's so bad. But I won't get it. Is everyone at the start? Oh, that's Penny. My mother used to drive the bus to Calico Desert, but the bus stopped working a few years ago. Maya says there's not enough money in the town coffers, or else he'd have it fixed. Oh. It is special. I grew it. I'm out of vegetables. Which is the only thing that I know Penny likes. I hope I grow something tomorrow. Otherwise, can I buy it? No, probably not, right? Alright, I'm assuming the pepper's one of these two. Okay, it does a little... No, does it? Yeah, it does a little jiggle when you have the item. I should have brought some eggs. I forgot that there were eggs that were a thing. I might put some of the eggs back just for... What else do I have? The chub and the oak. The oak's for, like, dye or something, isn't it? Oh, neither of those are the thing. Wait. Did I miss it? This is for sure... It's for, like, a chef thing, isn't it? Oh, no, it's not open yet. I was sure... No, it's because it says it's a thing, so it's definitely somewhere. That's foraging. Oh, that is foraging. Okay. And then... The other one was like... Must be over here. Okay, it doesn't jump when you click on it. I think it... I don't know. Oh, the bulletin. I forgot the bulletin existed. Okay, that's what I was looking for. And it was in the field research. We need to make wine, which I'm guessing we make via grape. I don't know if, like, foraging is even really important. For, like, making money? I don't think it is. Should I have talked to Penny a second time? I guess the star drop's pretty good for talking to people. Handling salty fish makes me thirsty. What's the latest news? You just said that. Marnie really likes Old Mate, huh? Oi, gas, give me another pint, you're strongest. Alright. Epic, you look puzzled. I guess the hot summer air can make us a little dizzy? You can use a tapper to harvest syrups and other useful liquids directly from trees. Thank you, Clippy. It's a slow process, but the result can be quite valuable. It's 10:40 PM. No, I don't have work to do, buddy. In fact, I'm gonna play a video. Oh. I don't want to play the other video game. I forgot that that was a specific video game. Ooh, copper. Again, I don't know how this... I thought that you needed fresh grass. So I don't know if I'm just wrong or if that is accurate. Again, also don't know of this fence situation. I think that means it's bedtime after we sell the sweet peas. Wait, those eggs don't count? Oh, you need large eggs of both. Alright, good to know. Summer at the moment, not spring. All those jams are going. Alright, I think that's everything that I can do. Made a fair bit from farming. We need to buy another chicken. That's gonna be our next best thing to do. Add cat. We've got 5,000 Gs, you don't have to water anything. We've got stuff. Do not eat the spice berry. We get a grape. I would really like to make wine out of that so I can give it to the enchanting guy. So we will hold on to as much grape as we can. Am I out of space? Yeah, I am. No. What I think I'll do is I'll sell the gold fruit, right? But turn the like not as good fruit into wine. Is that how it works, or is it the other way around? Because does it preserve? I don't know. Does it preserve? Is that just a dead plant? Whoop. Just this turns vegetables into fruits and jams. I don't know, I guess we can figure it out. Maybe we'll keep the silvers as well. We'll sell all the flowers though. And we still need a larger egg. Whoops. I mean, you can take it, I guess. Alright. Oh, we got another gold one, but we got one. Get some grapes there. Go. Put it in there. I reckon turning it into gems is probably a better way to do it. Banana. Sorry, not banana, summer squash, which is good because we can. It is a gold one. I'll put one in there. The other one goes to Penny though. Should I make more preserving jars? Preserving things? I don't know. I forgot, I need to get quartz too to make something, right? Alright, so that's done. I need to go to Marnie to hopefully get some more chickens. Or I should work on some stuff around that. Oh, hang on. I want to upgrade my watering can. It'd be good if I upgraded it yesterday, because then I could. We'll backtrack, so we'll go to. We do need both of those. We'll go to geodes first. Make couple watering can and break a geode. Then we'll come back and get the seeds. Then we'll go to Marnie's and get 2 more chickens. I think that's the plan. Some lightning over there. Some dirt, sick. Can transmute copper to iron. I don't need iron at the moment. Alright, we'll go back to Pierre's and get some more seeds. I think we need blueberries still and something else. Tomato and blueberry is all we need. Can you oblige? Yes. 10 tomato. 10 blueberry. All these are pretty good other than like the melon takes a long time to mature and doesn't produce more. So I imagine buying them at the start of the month is good, and then afterwards you should focus on mostly melons. I do need radishes. Let's get 10 radishes and 10 melons. This is a big haul. This is probably going to be too much. It's going to take most of my time, especially when I won't be able to water the plants tomorrow. I don't know how long it takes for plants to die, so I hope it's not one day. And I can't remember how to make the next sprinkler. An iron, a gold, and a quartz. That makes grape jelly. There's wine barrels and there's preserving things. And the wine barrels are different to the preserving things. Cool, good to know. Also, I didn't realize I had melons to plant still. Do I still have fertilizer in there? Yes. We're gonna make so much money eventually. Alright. Eggs. Now we don't want to make grape jelly. We want to keep the grape for wine. So we'll use this strawberry instead. I definitely can't make wine yet. No. A bee house wouldn't be bad. Because, yeah, you need, like, aging barrels, don't you? And you, like, put them in there and it takes, like, a whole month, I think. I didn't put the mayo in, and I also didn't put my fertilizer back. Did my character just get scared? Is that what I just witnessed happen? Alright, hopefully Marnie's not closed yet. With my luck, she closes at 3 and I'll miss it. I didn't let my chickens out the whole day. Also. You're doing it. Let's go. Oh, I'm poor now. That's because I was just cutting grass. Yes. This terrible noise from there. Interesting. I can't believe I can't buy chickens. I just wasted all my money on... I should have not bought the melons. I should have just not bought the melons. I'll have enough money tomorrow, I guess. I guess we'll just clean out the farm some more. They're probably not gonna leave. No large eggs. Sad. I'm assuming like the wine barrel's kind of just a better version of these, because I'm assuming you just use other berries, right? Alright, yeah, we'll clear out the farm. Because it's a bit too late to be going into the mines and getting some more quartz and stuff, but it's a bit too early to do anything else. I don't know why I didn't hit it the first few times. I'm aware. I still don't understand why I upgraded my pickaxe too. If it didn't let me break these rocks. I'm doing it, you can't stop me. That did nothing. I thought something was going to happen. It didn't. That's alright. What did I just find? What's the new power? Upcoming broadcast schedule on Discord? I've got the schedule down on Twitch, so if you want to see the schedule, it's there. I don't know why you need it shared on Discord. Keep the moss just in case I need to use it for something. Algae's good food. The pine cones away, fiber away, wood away. She'll put the copper away too, I don't need that anymore. And the maple seeds? Maple seeds. Alright, I think that's all done. Let's look for Penny again. No wait, did I see her already? Was it today? I can check that, can't I? I've given her 2 gifts. I haven't talked to her today, I think that's what that means. I don't know if Stardrop is... There are people here, none of them are Penny. Is that Penny's house? Just says trailer. But I don't think Penny has a labeled house. So I'm assuming that's Penny's house. And she lives with Pam? But I guess I can't talk to her today. That's fine. That lighting's getting really annoying. If I knew that, I could have given you that. That would have been nice and cheap and free to do. I've got it on me. Actually, I've got it on me. Hang on. Is it Leah? Robin. I accept. I think I can do it. Is Robin here? Whoops. Robin isn't here. But I reckon I can go to their house. Maybe. In time. It's going to be cutting it close though. Thanks for the follow, Luku. Robin. I'm gonna fail a quest. I don't know what happens when you fail a quest. Probably nothing. I just assumed I would need to accept it today because I wanted it today and be a new quest tomorrow. So I was like, oh, free money. Unfortunately, it was never meant to be. Hi, how you doing? Have to harvest the... Oh, it needs to be fresh stone too? I thought it just meant they needed it today. Okay. I mean, I did harvest that stone today, actually. Would that have counted? I don't know. Doesn't matter anyway, because we didn't get it, but... Yeah. So I think my chat's broken, because it says there's no one here, but there's definitely people here talking to me. So you have to still gather the 30 stones, but I think you have 2 days. Oh, I can gather... Okay. Okay. It said today. I didn't check the actual quest requirements. They need to be gathered today, but I have 2 days to get... Does that mean that I can't give them stone I've harvested, like, tonight? Okay. I mean, I guess I can check because it's popping up as a check mark. Just for testing purposes. I should just eat the cake, but I feel like it'll be a waste because I won't use the whole cake. Oh, I need to put those chickens to bed though, don't I? How many days? Yeah, I knew that, but because it said today, I just assumed it meant today. Did I say hi to my... Oh, it's 2. I didn't look... Time goes too quickly in this game. I'm so stressed out. Because you start off the day and you've just got to do stuff. Like, you can't dawdle. And there's not even, like... It's like that in the game. It really matters when it says that. Okay, interesting. Yeah, that's so. It's weird that it says. I mean, like, I guess it's like do it as you get the quest. I'll do all that later. Do it when you get the quest, but like, it's a misleading sentence structure for the quest. All right. So we're almost done with that quest, and it's pretty cheap, easy money. So I'm pretty cheap, pretty good easy money for just collecting a few stones. I pat the cat. The water would be done because the cat. We will pet chicken 1, chicken 2, chicken 3. Oops. I guess I don't know if I can put it back, so I'll just put it in my chest of stuff because I'm pretty sure I need 10 of it to go to the thing. Yep, 55G, that's fine, Harvey. I might just not. Dries it as a bun. I'm real thirsty for a pale ale. You got one? I don't have the ability. Is that? Are you telling me I can make? I don't have either of those things. Am I supposed to have hops in a keg by now? I kind of like the lightning. We'll see. It might get annoying. I don't want to eat the sap. I don't want to eat anything. I want to right-click the... I can't right-click. Okay, that's why it's not working. The right-click function in this game has made my brain not work many times. Why did I get a star fruit? Are starfruit not as rare as I thought they were? Should I, is starfruit jam gonna be super expensive? Should I save up for starfruit jam? Maybe. I don't know if you noticed, but this is my first time playing, so I'm got no idea what's going on. I'm just figuring out as I go. I have seen someone else play portions of it, but I don't really know what I'm doing. Okay. Oh, what is... I guess... Do I need the Summer Spangle for anything? No. I'll just sell it. And because it's 2 in the game, you can't really do it till you reach level 9 farming. I see. So... I have the money for Marnie's. I'm going to Marnie's first, and then we're going to get more chickens, and then I'm going to Robin to finish that quest. Because you have to give it to her. Yeah. If you, like, go really fast in farming, because I think, like, wine's the more expensive thing to do, right? So another person that I did see play some of it who just went all in on wine at some point. So I'm assuming that that's like the end game level of making lots of money. Nutley. All right, Luca, you were first, so I'm gonna. There you go. You get to be a chicken. Is it 4 or 5 to a coop? Do I need to keep you? Maybe I do. I kind of want a cat tree, but it's not worth it right now. Can you buy 5 to a coop or 4 to a coop? Because there's only 4 hay spots, right? Let me check on that before I go to Robin. 4, yeah, okay. So, Bri, you don't get a chicken, unfortunately, until I get a new coop. tiny chicken. Well, oh, you can level up the coop. Okay, cool. Nice. I'm glad you like being a chimkin. All right, I'm making starfruit jam. I know it's a really good looking fruit, and it's probably stupid to do this, but I just want to try it out. All right, that's all fine and good. I'll just leave the... I don't think I need to do anything with that. I pet the cat, I pet the chickens. It's time to go to Robin, and then if I have more time left, I guess I'll go to the mines for a little bit. Maybe we'll get some more quartz, because I do need to make some more, get some more quartz and gold for some more sprinklers. Okay, the lighting is getting annoying. I have a feeling you might have known it was going to get annoying, and that's why you warned me that I can turn it off. Where do I find these settings? Show flash effects. There we go. Oh, I can't go up that way, can I? I have to go all the way around. You may need to start it for community center if you didn't remix bundles. I was thinking about that, yeah, but it wasn't like annoying. Now it's like super annoying. All right, here's your stones. Sorry, you didn't even take the stones. You just were like, you got a stone. Cool. Correct. What are you... I'm assuming you can't upgrade the coop. No. A barn's not much different to a coop, money-wise. I don't need a well. We've got a pond. A mill wouldn't be bad. I need cloth, so I need a barn first anyway. Alright, cool. Just good to know. So... reach the bottom of the mine. That's my goal right now. It's not. I don't want to reach... I don't really care about reaching the bottom of the mine right now. Right now I just need quartz and gold. Hello. I just realized, I saw the grape and I was like, I just realized I haven't been in that cave that I got access to that one time. Should I cave fish? No. No, I came here for a purpose. Stop that. So you're saying that I've lost my chance to finish the community center because I turned the starfruit into jam? That's alright. Oh, you were supposed to jump you were supposed to jump faster. Am I being haunted? Oh, I can get starfruit stuff? Okay. It's just that I have... Oh, was that just like bat attack? Okay, that's not the worst thing in the world. Nothing? Useless. Copper's not bad. Ooh, that's quartz. That's what I wanted. Did you just get in my way? How dare you? What's with the music? Why did it get so... sad? Melancholy? I feel like I'm at the end of an 80s movie. I don't know if that's the vibe that it's going for. It's just the vibe my brain conjured. Or like the middle where it's getting like... you've learned something and you're like... ugh, my whole world's changed, that kind of thing. That's what I'm getting. Oh, the ghosts drop gold, don't they? Well, some of them do. The first one that I fought did. I'm really losing health. You're a really annoying ghost. Oh no, they don't drop that. They drop that. That's what they drop. I don't need that sap. Oh, does anyone... how do I use the slingshot? I'm confused about it. Do I need to have a recipe to make a special type of stone to go in the slingshot? Oh wait, I've just realized... I figured... because when I... You don't tap, you... like... that's how you do it. Using your little tree-looking button for all the things you need for the center. Yes, I have been vaguely paying attention to that. Oh, I think I've sold many of those. I haven't looked at that. Yeah, it's not the regular. The issue was I realized yesterday, not yesterday. Last time I streamed. This is useless. I was trying to figure out how to put bait in the fishing rod, and I just gave up on the slingshot. I've had the slingshot since the first thing, and I just gave up on it. And then I was like, oh, how do I put bait in this fishing rod? And I couldn't figure it out. I was like, what the hell's going on? So I ended up just looking up, how do I put bait in a fishing rod? Why is this so difficult? And like everything in this game, my left and right buttons confuse me. Everything's not what I expect it to be. And so I was just like, I don't know. I feel like it needed to be an extra menu, but like it works. It's just like I had to look it up to figure out how it works, because all of the clicks in this game are just like left click and right click. I expected like another menu maybe. I feel like I need that hardwood. I feel like it's almost like illegal to not... oh, that's an axe. Alright, I'm gonna eat the grape, because it's not gonna make me that much money, and then... I guess the winter root, because I don't need that either. I'm sure it'll make good food, but for now I'm just hungry. I think it's kind of bad unless you use bombs. Okay. I see. You know, the one thing this game's pissed me off with multiple sessions in a row is how do I click this thing? I'm just gonna get rid of these stones for now. Level 4 club. I'll take it. Wait, what's the 18 to 27? 15 to 24. Lower speed. Interesting. I feel like all the clubs... so far have not had like negative speed. I've got new ideas, let's go. That ghost just disappeared. So yeah. Gold. Again, what do I... Sap. I didn't even realize we had more sap to play around with. Yeah, I don't know if I'm a fan of this new club. Ugh. I need to... It just like slows you down. There's like such a slow... I thought speed was like movement speed, but speed is attack speed. Do I just skip ahead? There's quartz and potentially gold, so I won't skip ahead. I really need to swap back to my club because I just get hit so much. Is it jumping on a rock? What's happening? Like the damage is nice, but I just get hit so much more. And I don't like learning new things. I don't think the damage is worth it. Is it a creeper? Alright, a bat's coming, but I want this quartz. I should probably also leave the dungeon. Should I just speed through? Let's just speed through. I can do it, don't worry. Oh. That wasn't gonna be... Got poisoned. I'm so slow. No door here? No door. I'm gonna pass out again, aren't I? What are you? A bat. I'm not gonna make it, am I? I shouldn't have done this. I have money to spare. Yeah, I can't make it home now anyway. Oh no! I don't need that geode. I need the slime for slime purposes. Look, I get money out of this. So like, I hope I'm allowed to pass out in here. Does someone find me? Level 4 combat, I got a warrior ring. I don't know if that's useful for me as a human. Only 655. Interesting. Is it the wild veggies didn't give me enough product? Alright, let's see how much it cost me. Couple watering cans ready, let's go! Oops. Okay, I'm putting the sword back. Don't want it. Sell. Oh, Linus found me. I don't know how much money that took either. Alright, so I'll put the aquamarine in here for now. I need that refined quartz. What? Need 5 gold to make a gold. Okay. That's not gonna happen anytime soon. I don't need the frozen tear. I think I've given it to Gunther, so I can just throw it away. For now. It might be useful. Is there any... Oh, actually the warrior. Iron bar, coal, frozen tear. Occasionally infuse the warrior. I don't really care. It might be really useful, but I don't really care about it. I don't know if I want a glowstone ring either. I think I'll just keep it. Let's just sell it. I want the slime for something. I don't remember why. It wasn't the sturdy ring, was it? Oh, when did I get crab pot? Was that what I just unlocked? I already knew I had life elixir. I can make my own bait with bug meat. I think I knew that. And nothing else from here. Alright, good to know. So I guess we'll sell the slime. Did I have eggs? I do still have slime and the solar essence. I guess we'll sell those. We'll keep the hardwood. I don't really know what I need it for yet. Got chicken, 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 chicken. No large eggs yet. I'm sure I'll get them one day. Whoops, don't eat the egg. It's raw. Do I need to fill that? I guess not. Cheap followers, love it. Unfortunately, you're now banned from the restream chat. And a guest Twitch? Wish I had an easy way to ban people on Twitch without having to open a new tab.
Webcam to the capture.
Ah! Thank you, Twitch homepage. I've never seen you open with... work? Now how do I get rid of your stuff? There we go. I've wasted 2 whole hours. Let's go. I'm missing 2 chickens. Are you starving? Oh no. Oh, you're gonna be starving too, because I don't have... Wait, you weren't all in there, though. Whoops. Oh, I hate life. Oh my god. What? What's good? Alright. Oh, I didn't realize that those were edible. I don't think I need corn or anything. Right? Oh, I do. Okay. Oh, it's in the fall crops bundle. Interesting. Woodpecker. I need to get my water can to go back and water the plants. I think that's just the only goal I've got for this day. Again, the game is so fast. Whoops. Like, I just feel like every time we wake up, stress begins. Because there's no point where you like can sit back and enjoy what's going on. I just kind of assumed Penny would be in here because she's usually in here with those kids. Oh, I think I just saw a kid there. Nope, that's Lewis, not a kid. Potentially one of the older people in the whole spot. Hell yeah. And it's still full of water. You're not Penny. Alright. I bet my mayo's done. And then we'll water some plants. And we can try out this sick new tool, which I believe some people are calling... Did I pick up eggs? I must have. Oh yeah, that's why it's in my inventory. There's more eggs in the thing. Alright. How do you work? I know you hold down button. Ooh. It's faster. I didn't know I could hop while I was using something. That's interesting. I didn't need to water you at all. And it seems like it uses less water. Whoops, that was a waste of, yeah, my last water thing. Right, like it's using the same amount of water to water 3 sets of plants. I think that's it. Alright, and then I gotta water the cat. And pet the cat also, probably. Can't remember if I need bat wings for anything. For some reason I feel like I do. There's no, like, item for it. I guess I can just sell it. We'll sell the gold one. Keep the corn on us, just in case. In case of what you might ask. Do I have enough time to mine? I already donated the bat wings to the center. I just thought that I needed them for crafting something, but I guess not. Oh, I think I might be thinking... No, because that's monsters, right? You gotta kill monsters, you can't... It's not like... collect this many wings. Oh, I thought you were like... cutscening me there. You were standing real weird, buddy. I thought that he was saying Demetrius is deep in thought then, and I got very concerned. Penny. I have a vegetable for you. I don't know if quality matters, so I'm giving you the shittiest one. Yes. Unsure. Tinker with whatever gadget you desire. Oh, and corn for the fall. Corn for the fall. This one? Sick. Artifact spot? You're just making up words now. What does that mean? Artifact spot. I've got no idea what an artifact spot is. It's also maybe too late to do mining. I mean, I guess not. We unlocked halfway through. We should be fast enough to just get way through. The worm things? Oh, worm things. I see. I didn't know that's what they were called. That what you mean? Just that? I'm guessing it can give you some good shit if you hit it. Yeah. Artifacts. Well, okay, I was just calling them worms. I've got nothing but dirt out of them for the most part. There we go. I tried to punch you, I'm sorry. Your guinea pig hates the hot weather. Interesting. Take it. Hi Linus, I won't talk to you because you're over there and I'm over here, but it's good to know you exist. Make up your mind. Is right click punch, is left click punch, who knows? I know that there's a power attack and a normal attack, but it's like... Oh no, I've got to mine things. I just... Every so often, it'll take me so long to open a door or something, just because it's like, oh, you want to right click, you want to power attack something? Mystery boxes when you unlock them. Interesting. Like it. Iron. This is going to give me hardwood. Unexpected, but I'll take it. What I need is more gold. Oh, I needed to do something with Aquamarine was for a... I don't think I did that, did I? The Aquamarine for the community center. Huh. I put it away and then I went to the community center like 3 times without it. I guess I could do it on the way past. Is there any rock that I want to break right now, or am I just going to have to start smacking? Ooh, I do want to break those. I don't have the tools for a bomb right now, but floor 80 and down is gold. Interesting. So that's why I haven't got much gold. Spiceberry is probably not going to give me much anyway, so I'll just eat it. Money, that is. Kind of expecting it to be like at least a little bit of a ladder there. Is there a way to tell when you're getting a ladder, or is it straight up random? This one. This one? I don't think those glass things are either. I'm really unlucky with the glass things. This is 2020. Oof. Ooh, it's overrun, is it? Oh, is it the only way to get ladder? Is that what they're trying to tell me? Got him with a backhand. Get wrecked. Angry slime. Oops. Oh, can I eat something? I'll eat that. I wonder, do higher levels mean extra chance of status? Because like I was like, oh, it doesn't really matter because every time I get hit by a slime, like they rarely ever actually hurt me and slow me with it. But I feel like I've been slowed more with slimes just for the hour and a half we've been playing than I have the entire time in the first 4 sessions. Can't believe that's gone. Also, I'm gonna be late again. I got no knockback. This sucks. Take that. It's too late. Ooh, seeds. Of the kind that I need. Ooh. I think that I just need to get rid of that egg. It sucks that I have to give him that emerald to Gunther, but... I don't need that. Wild seeds are for suckers. You know, I didn't think... I like the concept of Stardew Valley, but I thought that it would be difficult and stressful. And, like, it is that. But I'm also enjoying it. Surely I get ladders out of this, right? Boots. I gotta pick up that boot, right? And, slimes are needed. That was a waste. I was hoping to get that. I was hoping to get that ladder and get to floor 70 before I dropped. That's alright. That was pretty much as I expected to get. So, however much they stole wasn't enough for me to care. Okay, we've got geodes, we've got Maya to sell. Some squash seeds can be planted in all sorts of places. It really be raining, huh? Guess I'll plant it here. Grab some fertilizer for it. Extreme weather. 1 defense plus 2 immunity. Interesting. I need to give Aquamarine away. I need to sell stuff. 334G. Okay, that's not terrible. It seems to be pretty... Oh, is that what the green rain does? Interesting. Good to know. I was like, everything's grown, huh? And that's the green rain. Makes sense. Quartz goes in. Copper, iron. Also a lot of moss. Once you get fielded fern trees to chop, a lot of extra trees to cut for wood. Nice. I don't know, what's the best use for fiber? Do you use it to make hay? No. Got Scarecrow. At the moment I've got Scarecrow. And Campfire. Tea tree saplings? Interesting. Do the green trees stay after... I'm assuming they stay after the rain. I've got to cut them down myself, right? They must. Seasonal seeds, spring, summer, fall, and winter, wood and fiber. They're 250 each plant. Huh. Only on the farm, I see. I'll just expand that for now. And I guess I'll just plant that there. We got more squash for penny purposes. And I guess we'll just keep clearing the area, right? Sorry, did my normal ass tree turn into a green tree? Because I was using that for something, I think. Oak pine, that was a maple tree? Is it still a maple tree? See worms. They go back tomorrow. Okay, nice. Ooh, coal. I guess I should go and drop the stuff off to Gunther and the aquamarine to the other thing and that kind of thing. Get rid of all the annoying stuff in my inventory. Don't have any more eggs on me. Interesting. I will keep that oak. I think the pine tar could be important to keep for some reason. We'll check back off and on. Okay. Have fun. Thanks for tuning in. Sell the bat wings. Yeah, they must all disappear. No one would clean that out if it didn't. Is this a reference today? No, that's unrelated. I was thinking like Day of the Triffid situation maybe, but no, that doesn't make sense. Going to, oh, I guess community center is fine. I can circle back. Always go too far. Aquamarine. It wouldn't. No, it'd be in dyes, wouldn't it? Yeah. I know my stuff with things. There you go. I thought it was frozen for a second there. I was worried. Frozen geode. Is that? Yep. Don't need that cracked anymore. Alright, I think that's it. Yeah. So now we can sell the aquamarines, we've got that geode to crack, and we've got the emerald for Gunther. Oh, they all close at 4. How did that take so long? Oh, they close at 5. No, they close at 4, huh? I think he's just taking shelter. I think that's what's happened. It's not that he closes at 5, it's that he's gone to the star drop to get away from the green rain. I'm guessing. I guess we should stop by the star drop and talk to people. They might have something to say about the rain. Situations like this where a person's true character is put to the test. Let's not get in a tizzy now, Gus. I propose a round of drinks to settle the nerve. I set foot in this place, kind of crazy. Oh, interesting. Must be a meaning behind this. I saw the weather. I really want to see the weather report. Just green rain. Who knows? Apparently this rain is supposed to be completely harmless, just an unusual phenomenon of nature. Still, some of the townsfolk are panicking, which is never good. Interesting. Hope this weird rain doesn't bother the fish. It could ruin the life. You alright? We're all wondering what's going on. What's going on is I'm giving you a squash, but I can't because of dots. It must be because of dots, and that's the only reason. Alright, I guess we'll go back and just fill the aquamarine, plant the mossy tree, and just go along with the fibers, I guess. I forgot to plant a put another fruit in the thing. We'll keep a hold of all this wood so we can make the barns and stuff like that, because I have enough money to make the barn now. I don't think I have enough money to fill it with creatures yet, but I might have that by tomorrow. That's a lot of trees. Alright, now, like I said, I haven't been in this cave for a fair few days. It's extremely dark in here now. I'm assuming because of the rain. It wasn't this dark earlier. Oh, maybe it's because it's 8. That also could be it. I'm assuming the chickens... Okay, I forgot to pet them. That's a large egg, isn't it? That's a large egg. That is a huge egg. I mean, like, fruit jam's probably important. It's probably worth making fruit jam. I should probably make more jam stations while I can. Moss and the fiber and the sap and the wood and the maple seed and that away. We'll put the coal in here. Put the egg in here. The large egg in there. Oh, I hate this game. Why is the same button to eat and attack the same button? Oh my. I'm gonna kill myself. I'm gonna kill myself. It's it. It's the end. It's the end. It's time to get. I just don't get it. Just don't get it. I have this. You make one man machine. It's really good money. You can always make 2k a day. Really? All right. So mayo over the preserves jar. Ah. Thank you, Windows Defender. I don't know if you heard Windows Defender go off just then, but it did. I will say about Windows Defender is that I've just had a bunch of virus reports basically going, hey, you got a thing going on. And I was ignoring it for a little bit because I was like, no, we deleted that last time. But I think what's happened is that there was like I mustn't have updated. Really, I'm out of stone? I mustn't have updated the software that was getting the virus enough. I think that software has gotten compromised, at least with whatever update I was on. Because I allowed the stuff through because it was like, oh, you've got a problem. And I was like, no, I don't, clearly. And then I allowed the stuff through, and the next day it was like, okay, I think you have an actual virus now. So you make sure you update your programs, because stuff can get through. You don't have to download stuff to be like to have a virus, because your computer downloads stuff every single day all by itself without you touching anything. Download stuff before you turn it on now, which sucks, but that's how programs work now. So gotta be careful. I don't want to eat the egg. Just let me use the egg on the thing I want to use the thing on. Okay, this starfruit jelly better make me so much money. Yeah, I'm kind of risking it again. The spice berry. Okay, let's just go sleep. Let's just go sleep. Yep. Almost 2k a day. I'm assuming that's from farming. Yeah, so 228. What's 228? I guess 228 times 4, because you get like 4 eggs a day at max. So yeah, it's like 800. That's pretty good. It's pretty good. They also have protection support for Windows 10. I'm like very annoyed. Yeah. Some computers you can update to Windows 10 without upgrading your PC. There's just settings that Windows 11 wants you to have on that your motherboard likely won't have on by default. Like I think mine has that. And I just don't want to turn it on because there's a reason it's turned off. It's because there's, oh my god. Okay, they're just making large eggs. This is good. This is good knowledge. I almost lost my cool there. So you might not need to update it. Unless it's like old, I guess. But yeah, I'm pissed off about, I don't Windows 11 is just really ad heavy, and I hope that people really get into Linux. Like, there are some really good Linux operating systems, and most Linux operating systems work like with one another with little to no issues. I feel like if people got really into Linux and game devs started like making good Linux stuff, and then you could just virtual machine Windows or there's ways to make semi-functioning. Computers would have to start getting better, obviously. But I think there are ways to... Ooh, that's almost there. Like, kind of get that working, I think. I might just sell those. I'll sell the flowers. I don't know. It's for privacy too, but I think I'm just too used to Windows virtually. There are some like very Windows-ish Linux builds, but again, when you're playing video games, there's just not enough. I think Linux is pretty. I would say Linux, because Linux is vaguely like I want to say it's similar to stop eating things. Why is that half? Can I click it or not? All right. Linux is very similar and like based on, a lot of them are very heavily based on like Mac, and I think for work, like for writing and like for student stuff, I think Linux is just as good as Mac, and you don't have to pay thousands of dollars for a MacBook. And it's good for like a lot of like creative stuff, but it's just there's not enough games for it to like be any good for gaming. If you want to game, you still have to use Windows pretty much only. So it's just kind of, you're stuck, really. And that's the thing, they need some way for people to get into Linux, or even just like, because the issue is just that Windows operating system is so full of ads. Like, that's the only reason I don't want Windows 11, because it's just ads. It's just ads at all times. Windows 10 is just ads at all times. It's not like Windows 11 is necessarily a bad operating system. It's just, it's expensive to upgrade because that's what they want you to do. It's like a worse product than Windows 10 simply because I don't want to watch ads while I'm doing stuff. I want to have I just want to do stuff on a computer without them going, have you considered buying stuff? There's a Windows 11 computer at my workplace, and it absolutely... So like, it's an operating system that is being used by businesses, and it's going, hey, do you want to play the latest games? And it's like, well, no, this is a work computer. The ads are bombarding me while I'm using it, and it's not like, you're not getting any money from that. And it's the same like on like when you're on your home computer not doing anything. You're not advertising anything. You're just annoying me. And absolutely eating CPU, eating RAM to just constantly show me ads that I don't want to see, that I won't buy. It's kind of designed to be like kids on their parents' iPhone situation. They're trying to trick people into accidentally buying a product so that the people who paid them to advertise the product will give them money. And that's the issue with ads these days. No one wants to click ads because they aren't ads. They're tricks to scam you, even when they're made by real people. And so you see an ad and you're like, oh, I don't care. Because you're trying to trick me. I don't care. If you think you need to trick me instead of just selling me a product, you mustn't have a product that is worth selling. I don't know. Those are all my views about Windows 11's scheme. And I haven't used the Mac operating system, but again, Mac and Linux. Mac up till I stopped using it, which was maybe 10 years ago. So I don't know how the new Mac is. I know that I don't get many ads from Apple on my iPhone. So that's one in the win column for the Apple OSs, but I don't know about the laptop versions. Linux, because it's free, there's no need to advertise things. They're not trying to fight you, and it's great. It's just, you're free. Z was helping out one of my neighbors, got a kid a laptop with Windows 11. I couldn't figure out how to even download anything with Microsoft without the Microsoft Store opening my brain. Yeah, everything is just Microsoft Store. It's like, you've got to buy my thing. That's all it wants. And it's like, yeah, that's just what they're doing now. And it's like, no, I paid for this product. You can't now feed me ads. Like, I understand, like, if it's a free operating system upgrade kind of thing, like a proper thing, but it's like they're like going, oh, you've got to buy a whole new computer basically to get it working for a lot of people. It's like, yeah, I don't want to do that. So yeah, I don't know. I am thinking of having, because I've got 2 computers set up and I've got a Raspberry Pi set up with Linux to stream this computer to upstairs when I'm playing games on my couch. I am thinking if I have to have Windows 11 for any reason, I probably will just like have a computer set up. If I can get everything working on my stream PC, I would probably, oops, didn't mean to go here. Who are you? What? If I can have Linux running on my stream PC, I would absolutely get rid of Windows from it. I just feel like a lot of programs aren't going to work. OBS, I think, has a Linux build, so I could probably do that. And then I've just got the gaming PC, and again, there's so little... I don't need to be here. There's so little games you can get on Linux. You did close it for. You just mustn't have closed because the Sloom was... You're in this, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Just advertisements everywhere is starting to really piss me off. And it's like, I can't talk. What's happening? Is my computer lagging or is my stream lagging? Is it like super jumpy? It looks super jumpy on OBS. Which one's Sam? Is that this guy? No. You Destiny Sports legend, buddy. Oh, it's Goku. Not Goku, maybe Gohan, I don't know. I don't know what Sam likes. I haven't been giving anyone anything because I don't like most of the people. And I'm certain that if I got to know any of them, that I would probably like them. How do I... Where do I buy pizza somewhere? Or do I have to make it? I don't have... I don't think I have the ability to cook pizza. You can buy it in the saloon? Okay, I'll buy him pizza, why not? But yeah, I haven't been giving anyone anything, because frankly... But... the saloon's open, like, surely I can give him birthday pizza. I'll check if he's in there. Because sometimes he's playing pool, right? Maybe not. Alright, I won't buy it. Yeah. I got really annoyed when I first started this game because I just didn't like talking to anyone. Except, I think Penny and Abigail. Abigail were the people who I was like, yeah, I guess you're okay. So I just picked one. And so now I'm just giving stuff to Penny. I like Linus also. Everyone else, don't care. So I no one's gotten really anything. I sometimes talk to them for fun. I'm out of eggs. I got too many mayos happening. I've watered everything. Okay. It's like early. I might smack some more trees. But yeah, like I said, I'm sure people will get to... If I got to know any of the people, I would like some of them, or at least more. But I don't want to deal with them. I prefer to farm. Actually, Penny's my least favorite of the Bachelor. That's what they get you. Well, yeah, that's the thing. I feel like Penny was just the nicest person. Everyone else just seemed to not care about you. Like they were just like, eh, hello. Abigail was just kind of nice, and Penny was also just kind of nice. I feel like they were all, I don't know, just kind of to you as a character. So like, I'm sure Penny's probably really boring. Like, but from the start, I feel like she's the other one who I was like, oh, maybe they're fine. Yeah, Penny and Abigail are nice to you regardless of your high level. Yeah, they're just like nice people. The other ones, I just feel like I'm talking to them and I'm like, oh, you just don't seem like a nice person. I don't want to get to know you, basically. Oh yeah, it's an artisan good. For, like, you have to do it twice. Don't need that anymore. I might start like a tree farm and do some more sap stuff at some point. So I'll just leave all these seeds in there. I could make some trail bars out of them, I guess. How do I... That's it. Penny's boring. She doesn't have a story arc I really like. Fair. Yeah, again, and then that's the thing. I feel like a lot of them probably have better stories. But I was just picking them purely on... like... how annoying my first interactions were. So you have the horror game tags, what other games you play? I am all over the place as far as games that I play. I stream, this is actually a weird stream time for me. Usually I stream the day before this. But I've been streaming Stardew Valley Wednesday nights, which is Thursday night for me. Watering can proficiency, hope proficiency. I earned 50,000 Gs in total, I guess. I got a loom, I got quality returning soil. Okay, I don't need a loom right now. That's a lot of stuff. Yeah, mayo is definitely the way to go, huh? I'm assuming jam is also the way to go. I should make some more jam things. Actually, you know what? I'll pause this. Does that actually pause? Yes. I think it doesn't unpause till you move, right? Cool. Alright. I'm gonna say that. Alright. I'll quickly check that. Because don't remember what I played Ready or Not most recently, I think. Which is a shooting, like, SWAT sim, I guess you could call it, if you haven't heard of it before. Before that, on the Monday, which is like the morning streams, I played Game Duel, which is a free, like, game trivia website. A dev popped into the stream to give me a code to make it ad-free for me, to, like, thank me for streaming it. Definitely give it a go, because it's really fun. It's free. It's basically just every day they do, like, a pixelated game cover art, and, like, there's like 5 different games that they do daily in the same way that Wordle does. It's pretty fun. Before that, I played Northgard, which I play that every so often. I get an itch to play Northgard, which is an RTS. It's an RTS with tiles, so it's like Civ 5, but you move in real time. It's interesting. It's very basic as far as how it plays, though. It's like they're a beginner RTS. What else have I played recently? Alien Swarm, sci-fi horror, top-down, pretty old. Baratrama is one of my favorite games to play around with, just because it's fun. It's a side-scrolling horror game with a really in-depth, like, what would you call it? It's got a lot of stuff going on underneath the hood. It's very technical. Before that, I played Sharks and Minnows, a nice little indie horror game. Sharks and Minnows was really fun. It's a pretty cheap game on Steam. It's like based on the horror kind of, when you're a kid and you think like you're in a pool and you think there's like a shark in the pool kind of thing, like a oh, I just watched Jaws and now all water has sharks in it, that kind of thing. It's really well done. There was a lot of good scares in it, I think. So that was fun. Been playing Void Crew every so often. I'm still kind of streaming Resident Evil. I've got 3. I've played up till 3. I'm trying to upload those on YouTube. I've just finished uploading. No, sorry, I haven't finished uploading. I want to double check. Did I finish uploading Resident Evil to YouTube or not? I did. Okay. My last YouTube video was the final Resident Evil 1 stream that I did years ago. I'm trying to edit down all the Resident Evil streams, so I've got Resident Evil 2 and 3 to edit down. And that's as far as I go on Twitch, my Twitch streams, as like that hasn't been deleted by Twitch yet. So yeah, a few different games, a little bit of horror, a little bit of shooters, a little bit of RTS stuff. I like a lot of different games, but I love horror mainly. But yeah, so Resident Evil, I try and do on Discord a get out of here, a game poll, which is I do a stream through on Monday mornings, and then I stream some games with my friend after the stream through. I've taken a slight break from that recently because I have so many streams to edit down, stream throughs to actually edit. So I won't do that at the moment. At the moment, the game poll is actually on Spyro, I think, for me to play next. But yeah, basically I have a lot of games in like a roulette wheel. I click 3 times, and then I put Resident Evil on there because it's I put Resident Evil as a thing, and I'm a bit of the way through the series, so I wanted to like make sure that you can vote on the next part of the series all the time. But yeah, Resident Evil is very fun. I got very frustrated in Resident Evil 1, mostly because it's like an old game, and a lot of old games don't follow the same rules that new games do, so I kind of got frustrated, like, why is this not working how I expected it to? Yeah, I love indie horror. They won't leave, will they? There's so many good indie horror games. I did a stream, I'm pretty sure last Halloween it was. I did an indie horror, I did indie horror month where I played a few indie horror games every time I streamed each week. So there's like, I guess like 12, maybe a bit more indie horror games that on there, and they were really fun. There's a lot of like really interesting stuff I saw there. There was what's it called? I can't remember what it was called that I saw. No, genuinely can't remember its name. But it was a really good game. I might actually hang on. I will not do it this year because I have a lot on in October. If I put Big Egg, do I get Big Mayo? Oh wait. I have a lot on this October, so I won't. I might do a horror stream at some point. Like a single indie horror stream, but I'm not promising anything. Yeah. What was I doing? Oh, I was gonna put that oak there, and then I'm gonna go to the mines and finish the mine off, or try and finish the mine off. But yeah, I think all my streams from last year, I wanted to edit down each game individually and uploaded them to YouTube individually. Any different time, same. Okay, but it'll be like it'll make me less money to do it, but I may as well still do it. I'm assuming is the thing because it'll be better cost. I'm assuming this doesn't go here. Yeah. But yeah, they are still on. They should still be on YouTube if you wanted to rewatch them. There was a fair few games. I think one of them I also streamed. I just only streamed. What's it called? Mouthwashing. Actually, I don't know if that was the same. Maybe that wasn't the October. Maybe I just streamed that when it came out. Who knows? That was a fun stream because it's just that game was insane. Where does this go? Because we have a lot of money. Didn't see gameplay. It's like, I really loved it. I really loved the game that preceded it too. I thought that was, they've got very similar vibes despite being, there's a free game by the same developer that's basically a like Katamari game, but how would I describe it? It's a Katamari game where you play as a fish gathering other fish, but I don't know. There's a lot of imagery in it. It's a lot of like metaphor, like heavy stuff. Oh, it was here. Now I just need pine tar, and I don't know what else I can get for that, actually. I haven't seen any other stuff. No, but yeah, I really loved playing Mouthwashing. It was very, very interesting, there's a lot going on. Actually, I did look for games that I try and develop games. I have an itch.io page with unfinished games on it, and I have some games in the works that I'm trying to do by myself. I keep sticking my hands in too many cookie jars, and so I never finish a product completely, to like a project rather, to like actually do something with it. But I think my favorite thing about games is like using like the heavy metaphors and stuff in games and to tell a different story to what you're playing. And like, I think Mouthwashing and the other game, which I can't remember what it's called, did. The developer's really good at, seems to be really good at it. Yeah, horror games and horror movies are really good for. Ooh, is that? Oh, it's a coffee bean. It's not like I thought it might be a coffee plant. Shopasara, yes, I made Shopasara. It is. Again, they're all kind of unfinished. They're done. A lot of them are done in the sense that I probably won't rework on them, but they were just kind of tests. They're prototypes. So if you don't, if you go, oh, this isn't very good, it's not. You might have a little bit of fun out of it. There were people making some, like two or three people made some YouTube videos reacting to it. I think one of them might have been like a silent playthrough, which is a weird thing to do for a game that's free and like 10 minutes long max, but you do you know. Yeah, Shopasara is nice. Shopasara has virtually no metaphor. It's just about how scary it is being asked if you need assistance by a shopkeeper. Make a cup of coffee is, I want to revisit that and make it like look much better, because it is very blocky, very like abstract looking, and I want it to tell the story a little bit better in that well, I won't tell you what I think is happening. I think I actually might have in the description. Don't read the description of it. But yeah, I want to tell the story a bit better than I told it. Absurdium is completely broken, but I want to make that into a full-on series of games, and that was just the start. Play Roblox Dog as a friends. Nice. Yeah. There's a lot of stuff. Hell yeah. Nice. Yeah. I can't remember if Absurdium on itch.io is broken. I do remember I went and fixed some stuff, and I can't remember if I updated it to represent the thick stuff, but there is a lot more going on in that game that I need to work on that isn't there yet, and it's kind of boring without context. Just trash them. I don't think they're making much money anyway. But Make a Cup of Coffee and Shopasora are technically okay to play. They're just, you know, they're trial and error stuff. They're not great. They shouldn't have any bugs. Sets and Runs does work, I believe, but it is just a playing card game. It's, you know, if you want an actual video game that's based on video games, it's not that. I've made it to play it with my fiance and her family because they loved playing the game. And we live in very separate places half the time. And it is also weird to play online. I'm assuming that's you. I didn't think Discord would do that. Oh, it's because I don't have streamer mode turned on. Do I need those nuggets? I'm gonna say no. Yeah. Yeah, I don't remember what got me to where I am, but I feel like I started this by saying that, yeah, we vote on games. I mean, I guess it was started from you asking what games I play on stream to start that, but yeah. I have a wheel of games that I go through every time I finish a stream through, and we do play a lot of single player games via that. So there's a bit of you voting and a bit of me choosing, because like I'll choose the games that I want to play, and then hey, ooh, a big slingshot. All right. I don't know what the difference is between a master and a normal slingshot, I'll be honest with you, but I'll leave here. Yeah, so I spin a wheel. Hang on, I could actually probably show you the wheel if you wanted. So at the moment in the game poll, which the reason I'm bringing it up is because you just joined the Discord so you can actually see it. Which is up here with near the announcements. There we go, game poll. We had a choice between Spyro, Dream Daddy, Catherine, and Resident Evil 4. And the votes are pretty good on Spyro, so we might be playing Spyro next time I'm streaming, but again, I kind of want to add down at least Resident Evil 2 for YouTube before I start streaming single player game playthroughs again. Because YouTube's kind of taking a back seat because I only really have time to stream. I don't really have time to edit as well. So yeah, I'm kind of waiting till I get another stream through up on YouTube edited before I do that. The game choice wheel, we've got so many things. There's stuff that I wouldn't, like Yakuza Like a Dragon. I don't know if I want to stream through that. I don't know. We've got Rusty Lake. I'd love to do some Rusty Lake. Although Rusty Lake's a pretty quick game, so I might just upload videos of Rusty Lake. I don't know. I never like really finished the first like any of the Fear games. So I've got Fear up there, so at some point we could get Fear on the game choice wheel and play that, because it's like a pretty good like horror shooter. There's Vampire, that's not really a horror game, it's horror adjacent. Prey, that's kind of horror-ish. Fran Bow, which I've never played through, that could be fun. Actually, I don't have much horror on this. Oh, Song of Horror. I really want to play through Song of Horror. I saw someone play like the first chapter, and I'm hooked on it. But no one votes for it. I think we've had it twice, and no one's voted for it. So I don't think anyone wants to see me play Song of Horror. I wanted to sell the normal slingshot to you, the essence, the slime. Now, Templar's Blade. See, that's... Wood Mallet is 15 to 24. Templar's Blade is 22 to 29. Should I go sword? Should I swap my level system? Because it's better than the mallet, but the level 5 club is just not good. The poll's still up? Yeah, so I haven't actually said yes to it, so you can vote on it. For the sword, I suggest you don't buy anything right now. Alright, fine. The hammer's just not dealing enough damage. Level 90, you get one of the best swords. Oh, okay. See. I should probably... Ooh, actually no, I don't want to upgrade anything. I do want to upgrade my axe to iron, but if you kill skeletons in the 70, 79 levels, there is a chance you get the bone sword, which is like really good. Ah, I see. Cool. So I have chances of... I have definitely got a good sword at level 90, and I have chances from 70 to 79. Sounds okay to me. Mayo, mayo, mayo. Okay, there is 2 chickens in there. I was worried. It looks like you grew up. I guess I'll get that egg. And make mayo out of it, because it does make more money, even though it's less more money. Does that make sense? Oh, this is a seed. Okay. Is coffee beans... I thought the coffee beans were like... I didn't think that was how that worked. Oh, we need that. That's a topaz. Let's sell that. I'm never gonna find gold again, am I? Actually, no, this is the... this is the gold level? 80 the gold? Yeah, I don't know. I feel like buying off that shop isn't worth it. I mean, I guess I have the money because I haven't been buying anything. But you're right. If it's not that much of a price. Which is the same thing, like you plant 1 coffee bean, you get 3 back. I see. Axe proficiency. A lightning rod. Important? I think they use that to get batteries, don't you? I can make a warp totem. 1+1 ore per vein, chance for gems to appear in pairs. If I'm getting gold ore... Yeah, I reckon miner is gonna work out in the long run. Yeah. I should probably buy a barn now. Oh. Is Gold Star Mayo... random? I'll get in a barn. Yes, I should do that now that I have the money and the... You guys might get hungry. Get out of my way. Alright, I'll grab as much... Oh, we don't have enough stone, surely. Based on how good your hearts are with your chickens. Oh, I see. So I'd be terrible with you right now because we haven't really... One heart, one heart, one heart. Yeah. On a 6k, 350 wood and 150 stone. Okay. Gonna have to do a lot of digging. Oh. No, this one. Oops. This is a terrible. I did this the worst way possible. All right. Do I need radishes? No. So we're selling all of you. We shouldn't need corn either. Sell that. Oh shit. Why do I need the radishes? What'd I do? I can grow more. It's for a quest? Okay. I guess... Let's run around finding stone. Oh, I can... also, you reckon that stone's not worth putting in the thing, so I'll... Well, I don't know, it wasn't you, it was Brian that said it. I think. But it does mean that I can get more... I mean, I can always find stone, so it doesn't matter that I put stone, that I take stone out of it anyway, so. pinecone. And moss. I know it's not strong enough. That was another big one? Okay. Interesting. Most players don't only use a slingshot for one of the RPG quests later on. So I'd recommend you don't sell your good slingshot. Yeah, I wasn't gonna. I only sell the cheap one because the new one said it was better. Actually, I realized it doesn't actually say that it's better, so maybe it's not. You know, it just says Master Slingshot. Who knows if it's actually better? I mean, probably everyone who's played for many more hours than me, but yeah, who knows? Well, I had to rebuy it for like a one-time use. Ooh. Yeah, that doesn't sound fun. But also, yeah, I should probably just put the slingshot away, huh? And then use it when I use it. Because I'm probably not going to use it for bombs, I'll be honest. The creator said once that it's not that good in one of the interviews. Nice. You said 150, didn't you? Yes. I'm not gonna get enough stone. I've only got big stone left. I want to know how Grandpa managed to get all these rocks on his property. Ah. Fiber. And more eggs. Egg 1. Apricot. Plum. Egg. I'm definitely not getting to robins today. Probably should have just gone to the mines. I think it'd be faster. It's too late now. I mean, I guess I can go to the mines. And perhaps I should. Just to see level 71, I guess. I'm never going to crack these geodes. Every time I remember that I've got to do it, I Can't. You know the area below your farm too if you don't want to go to the mines. There's usually rocks there too. Maybe. I'll go to the community center first anyway. If I can remember where the pine tar goes. Is there an easy way to figure it out? I doubt it's there. It must be the bulletin board somewhere. Stupid grass everywhere. Wouldn't be chef die? No. Enchanter? No. Field research? No. It's not any of these? It's not that. Can't be the fish one, right? Did I go down here? Oh, it's the exotic. It's always the exotic. Okay, we only need the mushrooms and a cactus. Mushrooms or a cactus, I guess we only need one. I'm not really sure. Because I think I've seen some behind the fences, but I don't know how to get to them. So I'm assuming it's like a different area, because I know there's other areas you can unlock. There's that like coral area that I've already unlocked. I won't bother grabbing that because I don't have any eggs anyway. I'll come back and grab it and sell it before the day's over. Have food. Right, I hear this stone down here. There's one there. We're geared. Don't fish. This weekend, summer 20th through 21st, prove your freshwater skills. I don't know if I'm going to prove anything. Check out the traveling carts in the area. So the shop at 8 though. In this area? Above the lake. Alright, well. Curly Lock Gamer. Thanks for joining the Bonnie then. Is that... I really need, like, better alerts, because I have no... I'm assuming that's a follow? Hey Curly Lock Gamer, how you doing? Oh, it's a raid! That's the alert is. How you doing? And hey, oh hi, it's Scatto. It's Cato, I guess is... How you doing? What were you guys playing? Okay, I'm guessing this is the Traveler, and I've missed them. Sick. Thanks for the raid. And thanks for the follow, I think, was what happened as well. Played some Stardew, I'm on second year in the game, it's my first playthrough. Nice! It is also my first playthrough, and I know nothing. And I'm, like... Is the opposite to min-maxing max-minning? Because I'm, like... Ooh. Doing everything as... Oh, hats! Ooh. I already have a straw hat. I don't want that hat. Is that just a daisy on your head? Cool. You have terrible hats, man. Terrible. From the UK? Hey. Yeah. What is it? What time is it in the UK? Like, because it's 1 AM here. Maybe 4 PM? Heck. I ran out of stone? Did I get enough? I have 4 remaining. There's one. How is that not enough? Alright. I guess Epic should go to bed. There's not enough stone for him down there. 4 more and we can get cows. Just 4 more. There might be like 1 or 2 hiding around the farm still. There's one. Oh, all these trees from the green rain, that's what that was about. I was wondering why there was just a clump of nonsense over there, and it was the green rain. And that's, oh no, that's 2 small ones. Perfect, 150, let's go. We'll buy it the barn as soon as we wake up tomorrow. Nice. That was a semi-productive day. We earned 35k, 3.5k rather. We were earning 35k. I just we won Stardew. Ooh. I don't know if I've heard this banger before. Oh, it's the Trout Derby banger. Okay. Gathering data on the correlation between soil alkalinity and crop fructose levels. Long story short, give me a melon. I think I have melons growing. But like, they're not grown. Gonna raid and run, I'll leave a lurk and chain link. Hell yeah. Nice to meet you too. And thanks for the raid again. That was a corn. I wonder if my commands still work. Just... Hey, it does work. It's been a long time since I've used that command because Stream Elements hates me. Also, hi Curly Locks Gamers Squad. I actually can't see how many of you are watching right now. As far as I know, I'm here alone playing. Why did my screen stop? What happened there? There we go. As far as I'm aware, I'm alone. Because my stream is telling me I have 0 viewers. So I'm talking to the ghosts in my head, and you are all my ghosts. Some of you might be saying, I'm too young to go, or I don't remember dying. It's what every ghost would say, isn't it? Isn't it? You can't fool me. Did I feed the cat? Definitely didn't let out the chickens. I like the chicken noise. I hope it's a person making that noise. It's probably something stupid like a chicken, but I hope it's a person. Where'd the cat go? Oh. Do you hang out here when there's fruit? I think I'm onto something. Because that's the only time the cats hang out there is when the cat has hung out there, is when there's been fruit there. It could be a coincidence, but... Alright, not Marnie, Robin. Which means I can stop by Penny. I have melons in my chest. It's a weird thing to say to me. I have gold melons there. Do I have melons in here? Why do I have... Oh, because it's a fruit and I was hoping to... Is there just one? Yes. I was hoping to make fruit out of them. Fruit out of them? Jam out of them. Because I'm assuming jam's better than selling... just better at all times than selling the fruit whole, like, singular. Yeah? Yeah? I don't want to do the maths. I'm just assuming more work means more money. Just... video game logic? It's not how it really works in real life, but maybe video game logic. Magic a lot of money? Cool. Welcome, Robin. I'm looking for your husband first. Actually, no, I'm not. I'll buy... barn is much more important than giving a melon to your husband. Now, where am I placing this guy? Do I just like I kind of want to connect them. If I put a gate on the other side, I can still get to the cat bowl. Yeah. Yeah, let's just do that. It's a bit weird, but we'll do it. Alright. Now, I don't see Demetrius, so I'm assuming he's out doing sick field research. That's a squirrel, actually. Eh. Is that like a tech shed? Is that... Nope, it's Maru's place. I can move later on, nice. Is he in here? Or is he like... Suspicious. He would never go to town, right? He's too much of a nerd. By the lake. By the lake? Or like up here? Because why is everything happening at the lake now that I'm not at the lake? I guess there was a hat guy at the lake. That was important. What's wrong with that? What do you not like about Abigail? How you doing? No, I don't. Oh, Carolyn's just worrying about her, right? The lake weather. I thought, okay, that's right. No, because I was like, is that technically a lake? Because there's like a river going through it. Careful out there, dear. You could get sunburnt. I can't get sun. I have a hat on. I have a hat. Evelyn, I have a hat on. You should be careful. You'll get a sunburn. Make sure I was freaking. Also, I live in Australia. I know what a sunburn is. Holy, what? Fall's pretty good. I'm a winter guy myself, but you do you. Yeah, not really. I want to be a friend, Linus, really badly. You're the only person who specifically said you don't want to talk to me, that I desperately want you to talk back to me. The fountain in the middle. This is what you meant, right? I don't see him, so he must be at the fountain, which I'm assuming is the one in town. I'll check the house again. I don't know how. Like, I don't know. Do they just get a spot and they pick it? I don't like that she called me out for leaving and then coming back. That upsets me. Just don't bring it up. Yeah, I'm back. This fountain? Yeah, there you are. You want a melon? No. Perfect. That's what I need for my research, and by research I mean lunch. I'm assuming I can't buy cows and sheep yet. Till the barn's done, because that would be poor animal ownership and Marnie would, like, behead me, I think? I don't really want to slay things in the mine. I don't want to do the trout derby either. What is the trout derby? Like, can I just fish? I should probably go check. Look around your room. Accurate. Money. Yes. It was a cat. Alright. Trout derby's down here. Those are the cows I'm gonna buy. Do I just fish? You just fish and get random gifts. Okay. River jelly. It's not really important. I mean, yeah, that's why there's no cutscene at the start. It doesn't force you into it, I guess. Oi! You're catching all the fish. I can't think of anything else important to do today, so I'll just do this. Whoa. Why are you so aggressive? I must have got a fishing level up. I might close the stream after this day. Just because I do need to get some sleep at some point. Oh, I kind of expected the fish to do something. Another chub. I think I'm only going to get chubs, huh? I'm only fishing because I don't know what else I need to do today, so I'm just going to get some more money out of the fish. Another chub. Ooh, a brim. I've already got one of those though, I believe. Have I met this guy? Oh, that's the footy guy, isn't it? No, wait, is he new? Who's the twins? Should I talk to the twins? They seem scary. Random NPCs. But I want to talk, I need to talk to them now. We're the famous fishing sisters. Sick. I know it's not a competition, but still, whoever gets the most tags will have bragging rights for the rest of the year? You don't even live here, why does that matter? Ah, now this is the life. Nothing's more tranquil than a day of trout fishing. Most of the advice I'm getting from mosquitoes. Where I come from, they call me Trout Man. Sure thing, Trout Man. Twins reference to the Shining movie there. Yeah, I can see that. It's a weird reference being the fishing sisters, I don't know. Of course, some guy shows up wearing the same outfit as me. How embarrassing. No, he's yellow and you're orange. Don't worry about it. I think I'm a little overdressed for the event. I'm all the way from Grampleton for this. Alright. What time zone are you at in the middle of the night? Australia. East Coast. Sort of golden tag. All right. Last chub. Oh. Maybe I'm getting brim because it's nighttime. Rainbow trout have a chance of carrying a golden tag. You found one turn in here for a prize. I was getting heaps of rainbow trout last session. And now we're getting nothing. Now we're just getting brim and chub. Those trees are new. Can't really plant them, can I? It'd be a waste to eat something. Yes, river jelly is enough that I can plant seeds. Oh, there's a plant there? Alright. If you say so. I don't think I need room for anything. Do I need... Oh no, that's useless. May as well sell the algae. We will use the grape... Again, we'll just keep the fruit and use it. We need to start getting more preservers, because we get so much fruit. In fact, let's see if we can make some before the day's over. We need more stone, so no. We'll need to go mining. I think that's everything. The chickens are probably in. I won't make fences, but I'll keep them on me so I can make fences next stream, which is, it'll be next week, probably Wednesday night. Yeah, we did. Fishing proficiency, we got a recycling machine. Oh, that recycles trash? Hell yeah. A worm bin. I'm assuming that's for bait. I'll check out crafting recipes before we go. I'm assuming it starts the day off again, so it won't have to. Yeah, it saves there. So when I quit and start up again, it should start us back about this point. So worm bin, hardwood, gold, iron. We don't have enough gold, so we're not gonna get a worm bin anytime soon. We don't have walls, there's no point in making a loom. A recycling bin turns fishing trash into resources. That's so cheap and worth it. So we'll have to remember to make a recycling bin. We also need to remember to make a bee house. Did I write something? Yes. So we've done these. And that. We need gold for the blacksmith bundle. We need to get a recycling bin. I genuinely forgot this. I'm gonna forget that I've done this again because I already forgot that. There's no reason for the exclamation mark. Nice. I did want to upgrade the axe. To get rid of those stupid logs. Alright, cool. So now we know that. Oh, a crab pot. Just in case. We probably won't. We really need to get into the gold, and I think... Was gold in 70 or 80? I'm just gonna scroll up, because I know one of you said it. Floor 80 and down. Yeah, okay. Cool. Alright. So, that'll be it for the stream. Thanks for watching. Stardew is really fun. I love Stardew. I don't know if it's a game I would come back to, not like just because it's stressful, and I'm not much of a min-max kind of person. Like, I don't replay stuff to do things efficiently. So I think I'll play it through once and then I'll be like, that was a fun game. You know? It's like, I hear a lot of people who really love Hollow Knight talk about Hollow Knight and how much like they just replay it and like do stuff and try to like... I played it once, I really loved it. I'm probably never gonna play it again. I do kind of want to play it again before I buy Silksong. Don't know, maybe I won't. I feel like it's the same thing with Stardew Valley. I'm really liking it, but I think firstly the stress is not something I want to relive. I'm enjoying it for what it is now. And yeah, maybe I'll come back and min-max and do some stuff, you know, now after knowing how to play. But yeah, we'll see. I need to start like giving people gifts and like actually befriending everyone in town, because I am just kind of like giving gifts to like 1 or 2 people that I know want certain things, because I don't really care about anyone else. But like, that's because I haven't made them. Like what? Like I haven't dug deeper into their psyche. I do know vaguely the plots of the characters. I don't know why I know. Like, the one dude I know secretly works for Joja. And there's a Sebastian is a programmer who wants to leave Stardew. Is that right? Someone's a programmer who wants to leave Stardew. I could be wrong. I think I know vaguely people's stories, but I may have the people matched with the wrong story. Yeah. I think the thing was, I was expecting to want to learn about their stories. But because they all kind of hate you at the start, or just don't care about you, I just was like, alright, I don't want to learn about any of you. And so that's why I've only given stuff to the people who vaguely like me. And I gave like 2 things to Abigail. She hated both of them because I didn't want to look anything up. And I never gave her anything again. So it just narrowed it down to I'm only giving stuff to Penny and everyone else can suck it. But I should try and give stuff to people. I have still given gifts to Linus. But again, Linus specifically says he doesn't want to be my friend. So, I don't know. Yeah, I do like the characters and stuff of it. I hate it because, again, like, the farming is really fun and the characters are really fun, but because there's a time limit, it's really stressful because I want to do both at different times. I don't know, maybe I'll get better at managing it, especially if I like... You know, there's stuff to automate your farm slightly so that you can have time to like give things to people, and I haven't really been focusing on automating the farm, like with sprinklers and that kind of thing. And making the farm plots kind of easier. Like I should be doing probably 6x6 farm plots for that watering can, at least now. If I'm not using a sprinkler on a part of the farm kind of situation. I don't know. Yeah, that's fun. I might be streaming Monday morning. I don't know what yet. Maybe Void Crew, because Void Crew's just got a new ship. Trey, Harvey, and Emily have started gifting and talking. They're nice compared to the others. Okay, yeah, I can try that. Yeah, Void Crew, Ready or Not, or probably just one of those 2 on Monday, because I know people want to play that with me, and it'd be fun to have a group get together and play one of those games. And Wednesday night, we'll do another one of Stardew Valley and try talking to Harvey and Emily and do all those things we just wrote down. Cool. Alright. I think that's it. Thanks for watching. I will see you all in the next one. Bunny out.